Today we're going to be looking at some sparring footage, me versus somebody who's beginner, about intermediate level, sort of right in that zone. Now this guy has been training for a couple years, as I understand, and he was prepping up for his first fight. The reason this type of sparring footage is important is it's really good to recognize that you can still benefit from sparring people who are not the same skill level as you. We're going to talk about that today, talk about how I can still challenge myself, but in addition, you want to help other people and make sure that you're not only willing to go up against people who are your own skill level. So let's take a more in-depth look at what's happening right now. You can tell I'm keeping a very tight guard. One of the first things that I recognize when I'm up against somebody who has a lesser skill level than myself is it's my job to protect myself, but also my job to protect them. So you can see that I'm making sure I'm not taking impact. This guy's doing a very nice job of not getting too energetic, not putting me at risk, but that does happen, so you have to keep yourself extra safe. You can see the way there, I just pulled the kick, and you're just trying to make sure that both the guys, myself and him, are getting some good work in, but nobody's gonna get injured. If both guys are equal skill level, you can pick it up a little bit more. So how do I challenge myself? How do I make sure that this is just not an easy walk in the park? Well, you'll see me test out techniques, things that I know might not be able to pull off against somebody who's more advanced, but I get an opportunity here to try it out. In addition, the defense, which I already talked about, is very important. I have to try and make sure I'm not getting hit, and I'm actively trying to keep that really tight guard, leaving minimal holes. That's extra important when you're going against beginner intermediates because very often they don't have the control this guy has, and they will hurt you or hit you if you make a mistake. Nice little exchange right there. This guy's got some nice kicks. He has a nice tight guard, so it's up to me to challenge him. Not go too far beyond his skill level. Little nice inside sweep there. Not go too far beyond his skill level, but make sure that he's still feeling a bit of the pressure and I'm not making things super easy. Look at that tight guard. That was a nice job from him there. Scooping the kick, finding my back. Overall, what we're really trying to accomplish when we start going into sparring with somebody at a lesser level is make sure that you're challenging yourself, as I mentioned already, by trying out new things, but also seeing if you can land the same technique over and over. And often you have to do that once you land a, let's say, a left round kick, you have to start faking with other techniques to make sure that you're distracting them, taking their mind off something that's been landing previously. There's round one done, and then we're gonna quickly move into a round two. I believe we only did 2 rounds this night. I was sparring with somebody else who's very, very good. One of my regular sparring partners, and this was just in between. Nice high round kick there from him. I like to keep the pressure on guys who are a little bit more of a beginner, just put them slightly outside a comfort zone. See how I'm standing in the pocket? This is maybe not where I would normally stand that close if it was somebody in my own skill level, but being in there, especially with somebody at beginner level but with his control, it's very nice to give them that extra pressure, that feel for being slightly uncomfortable. And like I said, it's always a good idea, or sorry, I didn't mention this already, but I should. It's always a good idea to chat with people beforehand. Oh, I'm going to pause and talk about that sweep. Something when you're sparring a beginner, intermediate, you want to make sure that you don't sweep people too hard. I like to generally control the sweeps. I reserve the full takedowns for people more my own skill level. I think that's very important because the more beginner intermediate guys don't necessarily know how to take the fall, and in the past when I didn't know that, I actually winded people by sweeping them, whereas an advanced guy will just easily fall, pop back up. It's very important to make sure you don't hurt people. So back to what I was talking about before, when you're sparring with somebody, you want to challenge yourself, you want to make sure that you are trying to find the same spot over and over, but doing it with little fakes. And then once the person starts to get the read on it, then you have to be very creative. And this challenges you because normally you can't throw the same technique too many times in a row. People pick up on it. But when you're going with somebody who's a lesser skill level, you can get away with testing yourself out. this is just a great example here of what good rounds should look like. Even though he doesn't have any fights and I have probably at this time like 45, it's still a great example of nice controlled sparring. Nobody's getting hurt. And if everybody sparred like this, there'd be a lot less people who would be leaving gyms with broken noses or, you know, headaches or anything like that. Always try and spar like this unless you have a competition coming up. Nice little flick double jab there. Just trying to stay aware and on top of everything. I believe this was actually one of my first times back to sparring post-pandemic. But still, it's like riding a bicycle. A lot of times you get back in there and everything comes back very, very quick. Again, they're the catch. You could go for the sweep, but really why bother? Just throw the body round kick. He did a nice job there getting under my leg. Very, very comfortable, polite rounds. If you're somebody who's a beginner, intermediate, behaving like this guy is, showing some respect, not trying to knock out the person more advanced, is always very appreciated. I hope you guys enjoyed watching those rounds today.